Graded Assignment 1, SBQ Question C. Study sources C and D. How far are the sources similar? Okay, how far are the sources similar? We are asking for comparison. It's a comparison question. How far? We know that it is two-sided. So you need to give me both the similarities and the differences. Okay, so what can you compare? There are a few things that you can compare. Number one would be the source content. Okay, source content. That means that actually you're comparing the inferences. We need to make inference for both the sources and see if they are similar or different. Okay, number two, you can compare the purpose. In order for the two sources to have a similar purpose, you should have the same message, okay, the same audience, okay, and the same outcome. Or in other words, the same do. Okay, what they want the audience to do. Okay, number three, you can also compare the tone of the source. Okay, whether the source has a critical tone, positive tone, pessimistic tone, and so on and so forth. You can compare and decide whether it's similar or different. Okay, last one is something that you can compare, but I will not encourage you to compare that. That is the source type. Okay, for example, both of them are articles from the newspaper, so they are similar. This is a very low level one. Okay, this is only like level 1. So you can do that, but it's not advisable. Okay, now let's look at the sources, source C and D, and let's try to find the inferences. Okay, let's try to find the similarity in terms of source content. From an interview with an ex-Singaporean who gave up his citizenship and is living in London now. Okay, why did this person give up his citizenship? I was born and bred in Singapore, but moved to the UK when I was 21 and eventually naturalized as a British citizen after 7 years here. I am 37 years today. I left Singapore because I felt that national service was unfair. Okay, national service was unfair. Singaporean males were discriminated against, okay, by the government. So he went on to explain why he feels that it's unfair. Because Singaporean males are discriminated against because of the compulsory national service and many years of reservist duties afterwards. This is made worse by the fact that the Singapore government is actively encouraging skilled migrants to come to Singapore. Their foreign talent program gives these migrants all kinds of benefits that the locals are not given. Okay, so what I will encourage you to do for comparison questions is to write notes at the side. So this person is against NS, right? Because he says that it's unfair and locals are being discriminated. That is one thing that he said. Okay, another thing that he said is also the part on the foreign talents. Okay, so he mentioned that the foreign talents, okay, are getting more benefits. Getting more benefits than the locals. So these are the key things that this person is saying. And I'm actually, if you notice, I'm actually using my own words. More benefits against. All these are my own words. This will help you in the formulation of your basis of comparison when you try to find the similarity and difference. Okay, now let's look at source D. I wonder why the government is taking such a hard stance on the national service. Taking such a hard stance, okay, on the national service. Hard stance means basically they are, pushing very strongly for it. So they are meting up punishments, okay, for those people who defaulted NS, right? So they are very strong towards NS. Is it because they believe that it is important to force people to serve the NS in the hope that once they serve it, there are fewer reasons to give up Singapore citizenship? this is a very complicated source. If you look at this question here, this person is just making a speculation. Is it because of this? That's why the government is doing that? Okay, he is not making an accusation. So you cannot say that the government intend to do this. The government wants Singaporeans not to give up the Singapore citizenship. That's why they introduced NS. It's just a speculation. So some of you who made that inference, it is not a valid inference. Okay, I think the fear is that Singapore is seen as a far less desirable place compared to most developed countries. Okay, and when people have a choice, there will be people leaving the country. I do not think that avoiding NS is an important factor. This is a very, very important sentence here. I do not think that avoiding NS is an important factor, but the real question which needs to be addressed is, why is Singapore not as attractive? So the very key thing that this person is trying to say is that Singapore, okay, is not a desirable, not an attractive place to be in, so not basically not a good place to live in. Okay, so that is one thing that he says. However, if you look at the sentence that has been highlighted, avoiding NS, I do not think that avoiding NS is an important factor. So basically, what is he trying to say? He's saying that he thinks that NS, okay, is not good. How do I know this? Because I do not wonder, I wonder why the government is taking such a hard stance on national service. That means he feels that actually it's not so necessary lah, right? It's not so necessary to strongly push for it. However, he also do not think that, okay, however, he also, let me find some space to write this down. Okay, he also, so this is inference number 1. Inference number 2. Inference number 3 is that he also find that avoiding NS is not something that is very important. So NS is not the reason for people leaving the country. Okay. Okay, and this is not an important reason for the people leaving the country. This is what this person is trying to say. So if you compare the notes that I've written, okay, against NS, foreign talents getting more benefits than locals, try to find a similarity with this. Okay, I think it's very clear here, not necessary. This part here, against NS. Okay, against, this person is against NS. So both of them find that NS is not necessary. That is your similarity. Okay, so both sources are similar in agreeing that making national service compulsory does not make sense currently. It's not necessary. So what we do after that? Give the evidence. Discriminated against, okay. And source D says, I wonder why the government is taking such a hard stance on national service. Okay, so I give my evidences. This shows that the author thinks government is not making sense by implementing NS because it doesn't serve a purpose, including creating loyalty for the country. Okay, so both sources think that way. Whereas for source C, it shows that the author does not think NS makes sense of the Singaporeans at all. That means it's not helping Singaporeans. So there is a similarity here. What about the difference? Okay. This is a very important statement, as I mentioned. I do not think that avoiding NS is an important factor. Okay. So he feels that NS is not the reason for people leaving the country. But if you look at this source, this person, okay, this guy, actually gave up his citizenship and is living in London now. And why? Because he felt that NS was unfair. NS was the reason why he gave up his citizenship. Okay, so this is the main difference between source C and source D. So the two sources are different on the reasons why the author thinks Singapore is unattractive. Okay, so for source C, it says it's due to NS. And you give the evidence. However, with source D, he feels that avoiding NS, I do not think that avoiding NS is an important factor. So there are other reasons. That means that there are other issues. Okay, this person did not specify what issues. What issues? It may be the cost of living. Okay, it may be the high healthcare costs. But he did not say. Basically, he says it is not NS, but other reasons. Okay, so that is the difference in content. Okay, next, difference in purpose. Definitely, the purpose is different because they have a different outcome. They have a different purpose. In source C, okay, the author wants to convince Singaporeans that NS is the reason behind him leaving the country. He shows that the NS policy is not good for Singapore. He wants Singapore to rethink the NS policy and pressurize the government to reassess how NS should be reduced, or the Singaporean boys should be treated unfairly, should be treated more fairly. So you can see here that this purpose is mainly to change the NS policy. Okay, and the audience is the Singaporeans. NS is not good, that is the message. Okay, you look at the purpose for D. In D, the purpose for the author is to convince Singaporeans as well. Okay, you have the same audience, but you need to have all the same. That means message and outcome must be the same also. So there are other inherent problems. So the key thing here is not NS. There are other inherent problems. So in this case, the message is different. There are other problems. Okay, at the end of the day, the outcome is to get the Singaporeans or the Singapore government to rethink the problem instead of blaming NS. So they start to, the outcome is for them to think through and try to make Singapore a better place by understanding what is wrong. Why is Singapore not as attractive? So the purpose is actually quite different. Okay, so that's how you get your purpose, higher level. Difference in tone. Overall, I think you can see that the overall tone is actually quite different. Okay, why? Source C is very disappointed. Okay, I tell you what is the tone, and then I support it. Okay, because he says that I left Singapore because I felt that NS was unfair. However, in source D, the author does not show such disappointment, but instead wants to think of solutions and reasons why, okay, Singapore is not so attractive. So one has disappointment or upset with NS. This one is not so upset with NS. Okay, so this person is more positive in terms of NS by wanting to solve the problems of the nation. He wants to make the nation a better place. So that is the tone. Okay, so in this case, you can see a very different tone. That is how you get another higher level answer.